Generating traffic and sales can be a challenge for online merchants. But selling on the Walmart Marketplace puts your products in front of millions of customers who shop on Walmart.com. And right now, sellers who join Walmart Marketplace can save up to 50% on referral and fulfillment fees for the first 90 days. So get started today. Head over to marketplace.walmart.com/savings. That's marketplace.walmart.com/savings. Welcome to Ecommerce Conversations, a weekly podcast from Practical Ecommerce, hosted by entrepreneur Eric Bandholz.
What is going on, Internet? Eric Bandholz back again with another Ecommerce Conversations. I hope all is going well on the other side of the Internet. On the other side of the table for me, Mike.
Eric, how are you?
Doing well, man. How you doing?
Very well, very well. Glad to be here.
Yeah, you clean up nicely.
Oh, thanks. I appreciate that.
Mike is my weightlifting buddy. Just started weightlifting a couple workouts ago, but we go back a number of years. Our wives are friends and kids are friends and stuff like that in the neighborhood. And well, why don't you tell our listeners what's going on with you right now?
Sure. So in September, unfortunately, I was let go of a position I had held for 8 years and went back to school full time to finish my degree. I've got 2 classes left, finishing this May, and then kind of wondering, well, exactly what am I going to do? Exploring new opportunities. And we kind of had a short conversation the other day in the garage about, well, have you thought about e-commerce? Well, not really, other than I've bought stuff online and that's about it. So, it's wide open right now about what I want to do and explore. And this would be something I hadn't thought of. And, let's talk about how would you make something like this happen?
So you're also a salesperson, right?
Yes.
That's what you've been doing for the past how many years?
So in sales, ever since I started, so the 25 years I've been in sales, whether it's selling mortgage insurance to banks, mortgage companies, credit unions, selling home and auto, through my own agency, financial products as a financial advisor, or even Kirby vacuums. I started out selling Kirby vacuums door to door back in college. I don't recommend that, but it was, you learn to deal with rejection real quick.
Well, you and I have a lot in common because I was a salesman for 10 years. Before I started Beard Brand, I used to sell Dell computers. It was my first job out of college. And then Cisco systems, some routers. And then printing. I sold commercial printing.
Well, like Xerox, that kind of stuff?
Well, I mean, no, we like if you need a brochure. Like,
oh, okay. I got you.
We'd sell like the little folders and stuff. And then the last one was I used to work at a mega bank as a financial advisor too. So
lots in common.
Well, at least one job, I guess. But I really think in terms of like entrepreneurship, e-commerce, the skill set of sales is one that not everyone has, but is so applicable in everything about being an entrepreneur.
Absolutely. I think you're spot on there. Not everybody has the skill set to walk up to a stranger or call somebody on the phone and ask them for business.
Yeah. Well, it's not just like when you think about like if we transition you from the salesperson to the e-commerce owner and you've got a business, well, now it's like you have negotiation skills. Those apply to you buying things from like a vendor relationship. So you're kind of on the other end of the table, but you know what that other side is too. Like you have that expertise of them trying to sell you things and what that sales process is like. And then as a buyer, being able to respond to that, understand that, and negotiate kind of win-win situations with your partners.
Yeah, I hadn't really thought of it that way. I mean, I've been a business owner before and I had my own insurance agency. So I've gone down that path. It's slightly different in that it's not a physical product, that you can touch. It's a policy, right? One that hopefully you never have to use. So in that regard, I guess it's similar, but I wouldn't even know like the first, where to begin. What types of products do you even look to selling? I know we kind of had a short conversation about that. Sell what you like.
Yeah.
But do you start something from scratch? Do you go out and find a broker to help you find a business? Where do you even begin in that? And then what kind of expertise do you even have to sell it? Like, what kind of computer expertise do you have to have? I know nothing of programming. So
like any answer is it depends. It depends on what you're good at, what you're not good at, where you get excited to do things. I love that kind of like 0 to 1 is what they say, like where you have no sales, you create something from scratch and then you sell it to your first person, then you figure that out, scale it up. Some people are tend to like systems and organization and optimization and, like ordering things, like getting them aligned. And those people, it would probably, if you have the resources, be more conducive to buying a business and then finding the opportunities where they're inefficient and they can make those improvements. I think if you've never had a business before, there are going to be, risk associated with that, where let's say you buy $1 million business, not knowing what you're knowing, you have the advantage of, well, maybe you can learn from the people that you're buying it from. But the downside is like maybe they're not incompetent people and then you learn the wrong things. So like the nice thing about like buying a business is once you've established expertise in it, then you can apply that to the business and kind of scale it up and grow. So like I almost like from my recommendation would be like grow your first one, because the risk of placing $1,000 PO for a new product is $1,000.
Yeah, exactly.
Versus like buying $1 million business that you drive down to zero.
Right. We don't want to do that.
You don't want to do that. And I think like you're set up for success. Like for me, knowing you as a friend, very little that I know of you, skills in sales is not just good for negotiation, but also like as you grow team members, like to be able to communicate with them. It's really a communication skill. And that's so much of effective business is being able to be effective communicators.
So in e-commerce, you talk about hiring people, I guess. Obviously it depends on what you're selling, how much you're selling, volume, and so forth. But, what point do you hire folks in that area?
It really depends on what your business is, how you have it set up. One of the things you can do is try to build a business where you outsource everything. So the people who store your orders, pack them up and send them out, those are called 3PLs. So you put it in a box, you send it out. Those are typically going to be like lower wage workers. There's people who do the marketing, who will take the photographs for you, who will work on the website for you, who will do your marketing on Facebook or whatever, or Google. You can hire all that out. You can work with product designers, so people who will design the packaging. Then you work with the manufacturers, the people who make it. So in this kind of model, like you're the quarterback, you're trying to bring it all together. And I think it's not unrealistic that you could build a company that's doing $1 million a year, just you alone with no employees.
Really? And just $1 million in sales from scratch?
Yeah. Well, it's going to be hard work. Like you have to kind of be knowledgeable, and you have to kind of know when people are bullshitting you or not performing at their levels. But with like the work remote kind of system set up, there's tons of like opportunities to hire people across the country, like, Eastern Europe, like the Ukraine, Poland. They have really talented people over there. And Philippines have a lot of really talented people there who speak pretty good English as well. So depending on if you need more customer service type of person or more of like a programmer or a website person, those tend to be found fairly regularly in those kind of like Slavic countries. So you're able to like hire part-time people and like ramp up without having to hire, like 6 full-time Americans. That would cost you.
So we're talking, in this case, you're selling an actual physical product versus idea or intellectual property or something like that. So in that case, how do you compete with somebody, say like Amazon, that 800-pound gorilla, if you will, whether it's, I don't know, notebooks or whatever you're selling, how do you get your name out there versus do you just try to get on Amazon and do that? Or do you try to drive it straight to your website? And what does that even look like?
For me, I found that finding products that cater towards enthusiasts is the best way to go from 0 to 1. Now, I say that knowing that there are a lot of really successful entrepreneurs who will look at the data of what is selling on Amazon. They will find the reviews for the product and where there are opportunities to improve the product. Then they'll improve the product based on kind of that public information. And then they will, launch the product on Amazon. So you're actually leveraging Amazon for information to be able to sell a product that a lot of people are already interested in.
Gotcha. So if you see reviews that say, the handle keeps falling off of whatever this is, XYZ product, that, okay, I design a better way to, a better handle, and that solves people's problems. They're going to buy from me versus whoever.
The reason I'm not drawn to that model is just because, I feel like that's the model that a lot of Chinese sellers will do. And they have a distinct advantage in the sense that they're typically manufacturing the product in China and they have those relationships. And they're also able to function on lower margins. And Amazon, to me, is a place, not in all cases, you can certainly sell higher price items there, but it is going to be more of a price-focused buyer versus, someone who is like a hobbyist or passionate about a product that really is looking for the perfect solution.
The fishing shirts that I got for Christmas, the poncho fishing shirts, pearl snap, they've got the 2005 from the national champ, it's burnt orange shirt, and Colt McCoy wears it. And so that type of a deal where it's a little higher end, not custom made, but it's higher materials, better quality versus the cheap knockoff that you're going to get from China.
Yeah, basically the way I think about it is you need to niche down with your product to go from 0 to 1. What is the very specific person that is not being addressed that will pay more money for this product? It's I have this pain point. If only this product would do this one thing. No other products do it, but I will be willing to pay more money for that feature. So that's your goal, is to find that product that kind of checks those boxes. But then, because e-commerce is a physical business, you have a lot of complications with the actual product too. And is it big?
Yeah. How do I build this?
Yeah. There's a guy on our podcast, he sells chinchilla cages. And these are huge. And how he was able to be competitive is his inventory is literally wire. And then when he gets an order in, they make the cage and send it out. So he doesn't have to have all this storage space. He doesn't have to have all these costs of shipping finished cages to his warehouse and then out to the customer. So he can have that efficiency through manufacturing. So in his case, he's going to have more employees. He's going to have all the machining costs.
Sure.
There's different things, but he carved out chinchilla cages.
It's a very specific cage.
He didn't go after the dog cages. Didn't go after the cat ones. Chinchillas.
It's very specific,
right? And of course, from there, he's built other cages to serve other animals. But I think he's focusing primarily on rodents or hamsters or whatever. But that is the niche that he went into. And then he went on to the Facebook group for chinchilla owners and just spent all time there, interacting with the people and building that goodwill and that trust. And he's the de facto, they're not going to buy some random chinchilla cage. They're going to buy from him because he knows what they need.
Right. I wonder if it's almost even, looking at my kids, what their interests are, what they have, 'cause I know what I like, and, that might not necessarily be what the market would want.
Yeah.
But if, expanding my horizon or my outlook on, what could I even sell versus what do I know?
Yeah. I think it is, there is a lot of magic in selecting the product. The right product with the right feature set or value proposition to the right customer will make your life a lot easier. If you have a product that barely distinguishes itself from the competition, and you're not able to manufacture it at rates that you need to, then it's going to be really hard to sell that product. You want to have a product that sells yourself, which is really hard to do.
Yeah.
But it doesn't always have to be, product oriented. It could be brand oriented. So it's here's a great product, but terrible branding. Our competitive advantage is going to be the branding for it. So we'll kind of produce essentially the same one, but brand it this way so it reaches this audience.
Okay, so in that case, it could be. I mean, I'm just going to pick something that I know, like Tito's vodka, right?
Yeah,
They've created this massive following across the world, really. And just off of, I mean, what one vodka to another, there's not a ton of difference.
Right. So
I
they're
guess.
supposed to be like the same. Is
right.
the whole point of vodka.
So that's interesting. I hadn't thought about that. Looking at where do you even go to find these? I mean, because I look up something online to buy. It's like I said, it's Amazon or just Google what I'm trying to find. Are there specific like brokers out there that specialize in this type of business finding? Or
yeah, I mean, so if you're looking to buy a business, that actually might be a good place to start for like product ideas too. There are ones. I think it's like Quiet Light Brokerage is one of the more popular ones. Flippa does like smaller ones. They tend to do like maybe software-based businesses as well. Those are two off of the top of my head. Empire Flippers, I think, is the third one that would be my resources for kind of finding businesses. But I would also like look into products, like try to narrow down like 2 or 3 ideas that you're drawn to. I think what makes a great, like if I had a magic wand and could make the perfect e-commerce business, it would be small and light.
okay,
So I could ship it. It would be expensive, something people would pay a lot of money for, something that people would buy regularly, that they would come back to buy, and that wouldn't go bad, that had an indefinite shelf life. And I think those are kind of like, that's the holy grail of products. But you kind of always have trade-offs with it. And it's those trade-offs that are also opportunities. Like that's what everyone's looking for. So you're going to get a lot of competition for those products that end up being that.
So like clothing and those sorts of products, and there's obviously lots of clothing designers and companies out there.
Yeah.
I guess if you're trying to sell something to a sports market or a something very specific, that would you're talking about going down that path versus just oh, here's another T-shirt with a design on it.
Yeah, I mean, like apparel's huge, and there's like infrastructure to support the development of products and stuff. My challenge always with apparel is just the returns. So you're going to have higher returns. And then also like the margins tend to be, because it's so competitive, there are already a lot of expectations in people's minds. It's like, well, if I want a polo, a company here in town, Cricket, do you know them?
No, I don't.
Okay. They make golf polos, and they had Luke Wilson as one of their celebrity customers.
Okay, there you go.
But it's like $80 for a polo. Whereas I think like most people they're probably thinking, oh, a polo is going to be $40 or $50. So it's like, is this really twice as good as?
I wish some of those polos were in the golf shops around town.
I mean, how much are?
Travis Matt, it'd be $100.
Oh wow,
Yeah.
Okay. So what do I know about polos?
Shirts can be expensive.
Yeah, but again, like those are the customers you want. Like someone willing to pay $100 for a polo.
Right.
That, what makes it worth $100 versus the $20 one I get at Walmart?
Better material, easier to breathe, easier to swing in.
Yeah.
I'm thinking as a golfer now.
Yeah.
But, those types of
And it's
things.
5 times better.
Well, I don't know if it's 5 times better, but is the polo really 5 times better than the lizard? I can't remember the brand now. The Lacoste or
yeah. The alligator one.
Yeah, the alligator. So I don't know.
I think like to a certain degree, like especially when you target men, you do have to have some kind of justification for why they're paying that. Because I think if you sell to women are a lot more apt to be like, well, I think it looks cool, I'm going to buy it. Like they don't need to justify it. Whereas guys got to be like, oh, it's got this, micro tech in it that elevates, heat wicking ability. And you're like, okay, well, I'll pay for that feature. So I do also think like selling to men versus women and what their buying preferences tend to be are something you need to take into consideration with it.
So you mentioned Luke Wilson earlier, and how do you go about choosing a celebrity or trying to get somebody to promote your brand? Obviously, I would think that they're not going to do that for free.
Yeah, I mean, ideally you look at your order list and you see it when a celebrity buys from you. And then you reach out to them.
That makes sense. That's pretty easy.
So it's like, those are always fun. Like when you're involved in the business, you're sending stuff out. You're like, oh, is this actually them? Is this really Tiger Woods buying my stuff?
Tiger's launching his own brand, apparently.
Yeah. Yeah. But anyways, like you will see that as you develop products, as you get more and more customers, eventually some of those are going to be celebrities or notable people. And those are the best people to reach out to because they wanted to buy your products and spend their own money. They weren't looking for an exchange for money or, like a business deal.
Right. That makes a lot of sense.
But, to do that, it takes time and it takes a little bit of luck and you can't count on it. But in the early days, I don't think like that's something you need to think about, celebrity endorsements.
So really, it's all about just coming up with the product, the idea, if you will, versus the actual running of the business. I mean, that's important, once you get there, but the idea is more important than, or the product idea, rather more important than in the beginning.
I think, to go to 0 to 1, I think having the right product is very important. I think there's a lot of right products. So it's not like there's just one perfect one. You can make a lot of different products work, but it is like thinking through what are all the hangups going to be? Like Will with Chisos comes by a lot. He sells cowboy boots. I'm like, they're expensive. And, you got 6 different sizes or 10 different sizes or whatever. And then you got left foot and right foot. And then you got like different leather options. So you have SKU explosion is essentially what it is, where you have one product, but you need like 20 different SKUs for that one product.
Right.
Which is just kind of crazy to think about. And then if you think about it, it's like, I've got these boots, but I don't have this size in there. And now that one person can't buy it. So those are the trade-offs of that
product. Are you a custom boot maker or are you making boots for the masses?
Yeah. So like understanding what the hangups with the product are going to be, and then making sure that those hangups are something that you're excited to solve. So like if you want to solve SKU explosion, maybe that means you have to do your own fulfillment, like you have to keep it in-house because you're just going to have tons of space that you need.
Right.
Whereas if you have something that maybe is a little more commoditized, then your skill set needs to be in marketing and telling the story to stand out in the marketplace. Does that make sense?
Yes. No, yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's like beer. If you're selling beer, why are you going to drink my beer versus somebody else's?
Right.
Yeah.
But some people are like, well, I have really good distribution and it's in every bar,
right,
and it's in every gas station and it's available. Like that is my skill set. I'm able to get it there, which is an incredible skill set that doesn't have anything to do with like, I've never seen an ad for, I don't know, LeBlanc or whatever, let's say.
Right.
But if it's there, I'm like, oh, it's there. I'll try it, So kind of depending on your skill sets are where you want to make sure that you're building your business.
That does make a lot of sense. I think even just trying to research, products would be, that'd be the first step. What exactly interests me and what could I solve?
So kind of like the holy grail of e-commerce is like the product needs to cost about 1/5 of what the retail price is. So if you're selling it for $100, it needs to cost you less than $20.
Okay, I got you.
To manufacture it and get it to your shipping area. Once you get anything higher than that, then it gets really hard to make the numbers. One of the major downsides with e-commerce is that when you buy inventory, the government doesn't consider that as a cost to your business. They consider it effectively as cash. So I could have $500 or I could have $500 in new inventory, and I still have to pay my taxes on that from like an income standpoint. So it's like cash management aspect to e-commerce is vital to be able to have success.
Interesting. I didn't realize that. Okay. So even though you've manufactured the product and you have it in-house, it's not expensed until you sell it.
Yeah, pretty much. And again, I'm not an accountant. You talk to your wife about that, but his wife's an accountant. But I do think like a lot of e-commerce operators get hung up because they can't manage cash flow.
Oh.
They don't have the savings for taxes when it comes tax season, or they put too much money into inventory, which is a major risk.
Sure.
And you have to find this balance between I need to grow, so I need more inventory, and I can't grow without more inventory. And then like if you do that and then you don't hit those growth projections, and it's like, well, now I need more money to go to marketing, but it's all tied up in inventory.
Yeah, I'm stuck with all this inventory I can't sell.
So it's an incredibly difficult business because of the physical aspect of it.
Unless you're like the cage guy, and then might have wire, but you don't really have a cage until it's ordered.
Yeah.
So if you do on-demand product creation and fulfillment at the same time, that would be kind of like the double holy grail.
Yeah, the real holy grail is like when you get money before you buy anything. So it's like the customer sends me $20 for the order, then I go buy the materials, make it, and then send it out to them. Like that's when you're just like able to scale it, because then there's no limitations.
Yeah.
So ways you could do that is actually you could have like 90-day terms with your manufacturer. So it's like, all right, they come in, and then if I can sell all this within 90 days, then effectively I'm cash flow positive.
Okay, that makes sense.
But it's hard to get like 90-day terms, or it's hard to sell through, like especially in the early days when you're doing such small volume.
So this kind of leads me to a question then, and I probably know the answer. It's probably going to be depends, but when you're researching products and how to build it, what kind of dollar commitment are you looking at? Or are you thinking about putting into it? Just depends obviously on what you're creating or building. Yeah. But I mean, is there a ballpark figure on this industry has, typically takes X amount, this one takes Y? Or...
Yeah, I mean, I would imagine like apparel, because there's so much infrastructure around it, you can get samples and prototypes done for a few $1,000s.
Okay.
You might need to work with like an apparel designer effectively, and then they can sew one shirt for, $100.
Right.
Like obviously you can't make money on that, but you can test it out.
Yeah, see how you like it.
You could see if people are interested in it. Like our industry, we could get started pretty easily because I could just buy the raw materials, mix them up, and then
there you go. Yeah.
Play around with them and kind of test them out. Now, I'd look at like the hammer, for instance. You could 3D prototype stuff to get a gauge for it. And again, like your time is going to be in the design, working with a product designer, and then a manufacturer to do the prototypes. I really do think like you could get prototypes out for a few $1,000.
Okay.
Across the board, almost any industry. Now, the hammer to actually produce at scale to hit the margins you need, then that might be $50,000 or
ramp up to whatever,
or because you have to make the die, and then you have to get the machine ramped up and all that. So, and that's where you may see a lot of variability between the different products and industries.
Interesting. I just had not thought of e-commerce before, other than everything I've done has been online, but it's always been face to face with a person.
Yeah. We've kind of talked about this before. Like I hear a lot of themes of just like sports and outdoors and things like that. Just like
with me in general.
Yeah. Like I just saw this one product. I forget the name of it. But basically, you jam it into a beer at the bottom so you can shotgun beer without it going everywhere. And it's like there's like a product for everything and a business for everything. It's just crazy to think like someone's selling like some $20 device to help you shotgun beer better.
You can sell that down in the stadium and probably make a lot of money.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like e-commerce allows you to produce products that, again, go after this really specific niche. Because if you're a one-person shop, you build $1 million business, you plan on 15 to 20% net profit margins, that's $150,000 to $200,000 that you could make for yourself. So like you could run a $1 million operation by yourself, make a pretty good living, 6-figure income, and then from there decide if you want to scale it up and go, shotgun Coca-Colas or, like whatever market is beyond that, or just like novelty hats for drinking games. Or you can just be like, this is my core. This is what I focus on. I want to keep it small, keep it simple, avoid all of the like tax burdens that come along with a bigger business, all the team and payroll and all that stuff. So you have that flexibility because the entry into the space is so low now with places like Shopify that you can get a shop up and running for $30 a month, or $50 a month, something like that.
It's just a web page type of deal.
I mean, you can have tons of pages on it, but it's just, it's super easy to make a website now.
I remember when we had our insurance agency, it was it was quite a hassle to build out the website.
Yeah. Well, again, I've got a buddy who does automotive parts, and his skill set is managing massive amounts of data and being able to build like 10,000 product listing pages. So his skill set is in data, and their e-commerce opportunity is in that. So his website is a parts catalog. So he makes basically like a really large storefront with a lot of different vendors' parts. But because he knows web design better than the automotive manufacturers, then he has that competitive advantage. So there are so many different ways to do e-commerce.
Almost like an online, like I don't know, advanced auto parts or something, but online.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
And it targets like specific niches. I don't know what product offering he has, but he'll work with different OEMs of these kind of products and sell those.
Interesting.
Yeah. So really, I think it's like, as you look for new opportunities and maybe consider the opportunity of starting your own e-commerce, is just like, look at the world, because everything here is a product.
Yeah.
Like your world is just products. And it's like, would I want to sell that? What would be the pluses and advantages? What are the things like, and just think through, like, I wonder how much it costs to make that, that recycling bin over there. Like, I think that costs $1.50 to make, and probably sell it for, $15. So that's like 90% margins.
Yeah.
But it's big, and the shipping costs on that is going to be $15. So now, like, are they going to pay $30 for it? Probably not,
So you have the customer, I would assume, unless it's really tiny, it would be paying the shipping on everything.
Well, again,
typically it depends.
So, a lot of customers don't want to pay shipping, so you have to subsidize it.
They've been used to Amazon Prime and that kind of thing.
Exactly. They always forget that they pay, $115 a year.
Right.
I'm like, well, you paid $115 to get free shipping. I'm like, yeah, there's a break even after 10 orders or whatever, but if you want to pay me that, I'll give you free shipping too. But arguing with customers is usually not a
wise idea. Yeah.
But yeah, so anyways, like, I think it's when you go after the niche buyer who really wants that product, they'll pay the shipping because it just makes their life that much better. You're like, it's worth it,
What about, I saw somewhere online that the idea, like selling an idea or intellectual property, something that it, like information, if you will, that could be e-commerce as well.
Yeah.
Is that like, okay, I look at myself, former financial advisor, we talking about like that type of information or other types of, your buddy with the large data, that type of info?
Yeah. I mean, it's everything. So it's like, you have opportunity there if you know information that nobody else knows, or a way to deliver it in a way that nobody else knows how to deliver it. I want to get into the finance game just because
it's so much. Yeah.
You get regulations, the SEC, like, are they going to come after you?
Yeah.
And I have a friend who's been on the show. He has a business called Show Her Off Dance, and he sells dancing courses that you do at home. So it's basically videos that he's selling. So he produces the videos. You could do that as a golf instructor, like learn to play golf from home. Mike is a former collegiate golf athlete.
Yep. Stephen F. Austin lumberjack.
So you have those skills, and it's like, well, here's how I'm going to do it different. I'm not going to target the young kids who want to go on the professional tour. I'm going to target, the guy who wants to be competent and capable on a business environment so he can get deals done. Like, here's how I'm going to tell you how to do it. Here's how you get the conversations going. Here's the lingo. Here's, so there's opportunity, and be like, all right, let's get your business game leveled up on the golf field. I'm going to take you through the course, $500, and sell stuff that way.
Yeah, I wish I would have come up with was Topgolf.
But that's a lot of money, man. You're in the real estate game. If you don't want to get an e-commerce, where can people reach out to you, hire you?
I'm on LinkedIn. So Mike Carroll, Mike Carroll on LinkedIn.
How do you spell your last name?
Carroll.
Okay.
Yeah. And
is that a comment? Are there a lot of Mike Carrolls?
There's a few of us.
Okay. How are they going to know they got the right one?
So my last position was with MGIC, Mortgage Guarantee Insurance Corporation. I'm in Austin. And I think my profile picture is I've still got glasses on in it, I think.
Okay.
I've got to double check.
We'll find you on LinkedIn. I think, you could bring a lot of skills to an e-commerce business too. If someone wants like a greenhorn that has sales skills and finance skills and organizational skills.
Yeah, it's selling I've got down.
Yeah.
It's a widget is a widget. You find out what your benefits are and go from there. Like I said, the last 8 years have been in the mortgage financial services, so I know that game, but kind of looking to probably something new.
Yeah. Well, sweet, man. Well, thanks for coming by.
I appreciate it, Eric. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Cheers. Keep on growing.